Welcome to Topper Talk, your number one Western Kentucky athletics podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Moffitt, and I'm joined by co-host Tyler Bailey. Hilltopper Nation, whether it's happening on the hill or on the road, grab those red towels, stand up and cheer, because it's up next on Topper Talk. Welcome back, and thank you for downloading and listening to another episode of Topper Talk. As always, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Topper_Talk, and follow our YouTube channel at Topper Talk Podcast. Be sure to go there, give us a like, a subscribe, share those episodes as we upload them. Just check out all the video episodes. We got Tyler with us as always. We're going to jump in and dive in and talk about this Jacksonville State loss that we had, man. Tyler, you ready to jump in and dissect it and rip the Band-Aid off?
Yeah, let's get the pain over with, man, because this one hurt. This one hurt as a fan to watch.
But before we do, let's talk about our sponsor, and that is the Fireman Moving Company. They are the official moving company of WKU Athletics. Not only can they be trusted to move all the coaches in and out of Western, but they can move you anywhere nationwide. The Fireman Moving Company is owned and operated by firemen and is founded by WKU alumni. If you're looking to move anytime soon, give them a call at 270-791-1755 and get yourself a free quote. Man, they are, they're absolutely worth it. They're a great sponsor. They're going to make your life a lot easier if you're moving, whether it's local, long distance, whatever, big, small, whatever it is. They're going to make your life a lot easier and just be a lot more efficient and worth every penny that you can pay them. So definitely give them a call, get a free quote. Not going to hurt anything. Now, before we jump into this, the main segment, and talk about this loss to Jacksonville State, let's jump into the Red Towel wrap up and catch up on everything we missed in WKU athletics since our last recording. So Tyler, hit us with that Red Towel wrap up.
All right, so Kaylee Cox, she's named to the Conference USA Volleyball Offensive Player of the Week with 43 kills in six sets. Logan Grinovgo, sorry if I butchered that name. She's named to the Conference USA Volleyball Freshman of the Week. WKU Volleyball enters the AVCA Top 25 at number 25. Also, WKU Volleyball has an RPI ranking of 16, which is their best since 2019. It's about dang time. Amber Barnett named Conference USA Soccer Defensive Player of the Week. Maddie Davis named Conference USA Soccer Goalkeeper of the Week. Moving on to golf, Lady Topper Golf moved up to number 63 in the Golf Week Collegiate rankings. Men's golf, they participated in the Xavier Invitational. They were victorious in the Xavier Invitational. This is the Hilltoppers' first team tournament win since the spring of 2016, where they won the Bobby Nichols Intercollegiate. The results was Connor Myers. He was tied for second. Tied for fourth was Stephen Warren and Nick Hoffman. Tied for seventh was Luke Fuller, and tied for 59th was Gage Dole. Lady softball team, they played tonight versus Lakeland Community College, and we scoured the internet and could not find a score for that one. But I am sure the softball team came out victorious. So that wraps up this Red Towel wrap-up. Moff, back to you.
Yeah, always awesome to hear. WKU volleyball's back on track and winning a lot of games, back in the top 25. That RPI ranking at number 16. They're wanting to potentially host another NCAA tournament game like they did several years ago here at Diddle. And then the golf teams. I mean, both of them. The women's team's been strong all year. They're up to number 63 in the collegiate women's rankings. And then the men's team, getting their first victory, under new coach Austin King, first victory since 2016. So the, kind of seeing immediate dividends from hiring a new coach, and hopefully that continues on into the future. Jumping into the main portion of this episode, and that is our Jacksonville State recap. WKU went down to Jacksonville, Alabama on Tuesday night, and they took an absolutely brutal loss to Jacksonville State by a score of 20-17. With the loss, WKU drops to 4-3 on the season. And in my opinion, they now have more questions about the team now than they have answers. So far this whole season through 7 games. Really, it was just a really familiar kind of song and dance what we've seen over the last 4 and 5 games. WKU got off to a solid start. They were leading 10-0 after the first quarter. Went into halftime leading 17-10. But for the second game in a row, WKU failed to score in the second half and let Jacksonville State stage a comeback and ultimately steal the victory with a walk-off game-winning field goal. So, just Tyler, got to get your quick reaction just on the game as a whole. I know it hurts. I know we're both bothered and just pissed off, to be quite frank about it. So, what's your take on this game? And just, it's been a little over 24 hours now since the game ended. How are you feeling about the game right now?
Well, I'm going to need more than 24 hours to get over this loss because the way that we lost and the showing that we had was absolutely terrible. I should have seen it as a sign of things to come when Austin Reed punted the ball in the first quarter. That's never a good thing when your quarterback punts a damn ball. But no, my thoughts is we left. Well, we have a lot more questions to answer, and this offense clearly has to do some soul searching before I feel comfortable going into another game with them.
Yeah, really, the last few games, going back to Middle Tennessee, only scoring 8 points in that second half, and then Louisiana Tech 0, and now Jacksonville State 0. The second half meltdowns, the second half disappearing act, the second half, whatever you want to call it, it's becoming quite concerning. And like I said, there's a lot of questions of what's going on. Is it the play calling? Is it who's calling the plays? Is it the lack of adjustments at halftime? Are we just being outcoached? I think we know that injuries are affecting our game planning coming into the games, but we've now seen several games where we've seen polar opposites of this team. We've seen a first half, strong and effective team moving the ball, scoring points, and then we've seen second half of games, just where we completely kind of abandoned what was working in the first half of the game. And we either coast to a victory, barely against Louisiana Tech, or we give up the game and lose like we did yesterday to Jacksonville State. Looking at the last several games of this season, we scored 0 in the second half versus Ohio State. We scored 8 in the second half against MTSU, and now we scored 0 in the second half against Louisiana Tech and Jacksonville State. Offensively, WKU was led by quarterback Austin Reed. He finished 24 out of 48 for 250 yards with 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. Elijah Young was our leading rusher. He had 10 carries for 39 yards. And Katie Hutchinson was our leading wide receiver with 4 catches for 52 yards. Our boy River Helms caught a touchdown, as well as Dalvin Smith caught another. Malachi Corley finished with 6 catches for 47 yards. Tyler, what's your just quick assessment on the offense, even if it was only one half of, putting any stats up? How did the offense look in this game to you?
The offense, the passing game looks kind of helter-skelter. Reed's either overthrowing his targets or throwing behind them. I saw that a few times when he threw to Malachi. You had Musa Berry on a long pass when it was third down, and I can't remember how the yardage, but he kind of played hot potato with it. It just seems like the Reed and the receivers are kind of out of sync. I don't know what the problem could be there. I know it needs to be remedied, fixed quick, fast, and in a hurry, because the game we're about to preview in the next few days, if we don't come prepared for that one, it's going to be an ass kicking. I feel like, but no, this offense, I don't know. It was good to see River Helms and Dalvin Smith catch both get a TD, but there's so much left out there that before I feel comfortable with this offense. We scored 17 in the second half against Troy. Granted, we lost that game, but I mean, what in the heck has happened? Um, it's just mind boggling to me how, like, all right, in the first half we had like 81 yards of rushing, you know, and we finished the game with 86 yards of rushing. What? How did how, who's not making adjustments to that? I mean, Jacksonville State's defense ain't as good as Troy. They're just not, and for them to be able to shut down our run game and offense just be all over the place, I don't know. There's so many questions need to be answered, and I'd like to see them answered sooner rather than later.
Yeah, sooner rather than later is right because we're now less than 6 days away from, uh, quite frankly, probably our biggest game of the season. Not just because it's the next game, but because it's also against the other Conference USA favorite, in Liberty coming to town. Last time they came to town in 2020, they handed us a nice loss to take home, with Piggy T when they had Malik Willis at quarterback. So we've definitely got some things to clean up, some things to figure out. Just some offensive woes and consistency and execution that we just have to get better at. There's a lot of questions out there, and there's a lot of people on Twitter and message boards, etc., just being very critical of what we've seen in the performances that we've had the last several games. Granted, we were lucky that MTSU is trash. We were able to comfortably beat them, even though we let them in the game a lot longer than we should have. Louisiana Tech, we opened up a big lead and kind of coasted to a victory. And it just came to bite us in the butt here against Jacksonville State. We had a lead, and when we needed points to create some separation, we just couldn't get it. And ultimately, they tied the game, got the ball back, and had a late game-winning drive, with a field goal. So you hate to see it. You shouldn't. We don't want to lose a game that way. But when you score 17 points, and both of us thought we were coming in scoring 40 points per game this season, it's just not going to win you ball games scoring 17 points. You've got to hit that 30 points per game number to feel really good about winning some ball games. And we just didn't do enough, quite frankly. Offensively, we just didn't get it done, and we haven't got it done for most of this season. Some glimpses here and there, half of a game, quarter of the game, but not enough to win, enough games. And that's the short and truth of it. Now, defensively, WKU was led by Kylan Guidry. He had 9 tackles, including 7 solo and 1 tackle for loss. Devin Lynch also had 8 tackles, including 6 tackles that were solo and 1 tackle for loss. Desmond Baker, Hosea Wheeler, Nante Davis, and Darian Goodrum each recorded sacks in the game. And Anthony Johnson Jr. had an interception in this game, his second game in a row with one. I guess, Tyler, give me your just quick thoughts on the defensive effort, which I think was more than adequate in this game, for what should have been expected. What are your thoughts on the defense in this game?
Oh man, I thought the defense played pretty good. Tyson Summers, like I told you earlier before we start recording, he is coaching for his life. I mean, the defense was out there for way too long. I think one of my keys to the victory was to keep their offense off the field. I mean, our defense, it kind of had shades of in the same vein as the Troy game. We'll talk about time possession in a few minutes, but that it was good to see the sacks. I'm always happy whenever we sack the QB and Anthony getting that INT. The defense gave us chances to win this game. Our offense just did not show up. They didn't get off the bus. But no, I am happy with the way the defense played. We got gashed by the run game a few times, on their QB sneak, hand off to their halfback. But, I'm happy with the way that our defense played with for how long they's out there. I'm happy with the way they are.
Yeah, I mean the defense held them to 20 points. There were some yards given up. Their mobile quarterback and their run game hurt us, but overall, to hold them to 20 points is pretty good. They did, like you said, they did more than enough, especially in the second half, to hold Jacksonville State several times and get the ball back to our offense, only for them to go 3 and out or have a penalty that backed them up and put them off schedule, or have a drop pass, or just not be able to convert on a third and short with a short run up the middle. Just several instances where the defense did more than enough. They can't come out and pitch a shutout every game. They can't come out and force 3 and 4 turnovers every game. They had 2 turnovers this game, but they did more than enough to put us in position to win this game. Just offensively scoring 17 points just isn't going to get it done, just in most games in this conference. And it certainly isn't going to get it done versus Liberty. They're putting up 30, 40 points a game. So, this coming Tuesday could be ugly. I do have faith in our defense to show up and put their best effort out there, but the offense has to show up and complement what they're doing. You get the ball back, sustain a drive, go down, score some points. You have to do that. Let's jump into some key indicators like we do for every game to see how this game played out. Jacksonville State had 27 first downs, while WKU only had 16. Jacksonville State also outgained WKU 484 yards to 339 yards. WKU had 1 turnover on the game. That was an Austin Reed interception, while Jacksonville State had 2. And then time of possession, Jacksonville State had the ball for 33 minutes and 4 seconds, while WKU had the ball for 26 minutes and 56 seconds. So nearly a clean sweep by Jacksonville State, just at -1 turnover differential for them. So let's jump into some grades for this game, and I feel that they're going to probably be brutally honest. We've been pretty fair and I think lenient for a lot of this season, but with this performance and just the timing of it, and a game I think we all feel like we should have won, and now heading into a big game, I think the grades are going to speak for themselves. So, Tyler, what's your grade for the offense against Jacksonville State?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I looked up through my notes in this second half through the end of the third quarter. We only had 2 second half first downs. That's terrible. It falls solely on the shoulders of the offense. And like I said earlier, throwing behind receivers, just out of sync. Receivers dropping the passes, throwing them up in the air like they's playing hot potato. Offense getting an F for me. I mean, this showing really pissed me off.
I'm not far behind you. I'm giving them a D. Tale of two halves. That's been a common theme this season. If we were grading it half by half, maybe it'd be a B one half and an F another half, and average it out to a D is where I'm landing. That's my reasoning, is I'm looking at both sides of the glass here, but just ultimately it wasn't enough. It's a loss, so it's not going to be on the plus side of a C or average, above that. So you lose a game. Austin Reed only throws for 250 yards, which is not a typical Austin Reed game. 50% completion percentage, rushing game, not hitting 100 yards rushing, just not enough execution and not enough plays being made to extend drives and score points, which is literally football 101. That's how you win games. Defense can only do so much. The offense has to show up and execute, put points on the board. What about defensively? What do you got for the defense?
So defense, they did give up 484 yards, like you said earlier, with 3 sacks and one interception. They did give the offense chances to come back in the second half. Offense just crapped the bed. Like I said earlier, the Corvette's in blocks in somebody's backyard. Or we were promised a Corvette, we end up getting a Pinto. Uh, I'm gonna give them they also held them to 20 points, so I'm gonna give them a B. I mean, I feel like that's a fair assessment. They's out there for way too long, but so yeah, B.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm giving them a B as well. And they gave up yards. They surely did, but they didn't give up a ton of points. And they in the second half, I admittedly didn't get to watch the first half. I was at work with a grand opening for a new Zaxby's, but when I watched the second half, I was pleased and impressed by the defense. They were making stops. The announcers were talking about the lack of missed tackles, through 3 quarters of the game. They only had one missed tackle for the game. That last quarter of the game, as they went on their game winning drive, we had several missed tackles that allowed that drive to continue and ultimately them put up points. So I think the defense did everything and went above and beyond what they should have done. They were a lot of bend, don't break, got the ball back, held them to 20 points, which quite frankly should win the ball game, should win most ball games. If the WKU offense, if the Top Gun offense, if the Corvette offense, everything we've been spoon fed to believe that this offense was going to be coming into the year, if they had done even a fraction of what we think they're capable of doing. We both thought they were going to score 40 points a game. They scored 17. Not even halfway there. So they've got to score some points. But the defense definitely showed up and showed out, especially as young as they are, as injured as they are, missing several starters now. Guys stepping up and making plays. Bryson Washington a couple weeks ago, Kendrick Simpkins, Anthony Johnson. There's just guys that are new names and new faces to this much playing time, stepping up and making plays and doing what they should do. So I'm giving those guys a B. I think they played their tails off, and they deserve a B for sure. What about special teams? What you got for them?
Lucas Canario, he was 100%. I was hoping that the offense there at the end of the game, when they on their last drive, could get within range, and that'd be the game winner. And this whole episode could be a lot different, or at least a little bit different. Tom Ellard, he punted 7 times, got 4 inside the 20. Heck, even Reed, his second job could be a punter. He punted one for 37 yards. So I'm going to give the offense an A for their stuff, because they came out and did what they supposed to do.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Special teams is one of those, again, don't make big blunders, don't make a big mistake, flip the field, do what you're supposed to do. Canario, automatic, did what he could do when he had an opportunity to. Tom Ellard had, like you said, several punts inside the 20, had, I think, at least one inside the 10, had a really good punt there in the second half when I was watching, flip the field and made them go a long way down the field. So special teams, I'm right there with you. They get an A. This next one I think will be interesting. What is your coaching grade for the Jacksonville State game?
Oh gosh, defensive coaching was good. Tyson Summers, like I said earlier, fighting for his life. To me, he did good. Yes, there was some missed tackles. There were some arm tackles that extended Jacksonville State's play. The offensive coaching was just piss poor. There was no adjustments made. It's just infuriating to know what we can do, and week after week, seeing it come up not even just short, just a crap ton short. It's embarrassing. This last game, I was sitting there. I said some choice words that I would not want my mama to hear me say. I wish we could do offensive, defensive coaching different, because the defense, they gave up 222 yards passing, 262 yards rushing. Offense, like I said, Austin Reed only passed for 250 yards. Rushing was only at 89 yards. So I'm going to average them out. I'm going to give him a D minus, if not an F. And the offensive coaching, no adjustments made, just completely let me down, just piss me off in this game.
Fair, very fair. I mean, the coaching for several games now. If we were breaking it down, offense, defense, defense I think has held their own. Offensively has been the tale of two halves for several games now. But just overall, whatever the coaching is breaking down to, where it's who's calling the plays, when they're calling the plays, the execution of it, the timing of calling plays with down and distance and time in the game, and even usage of timeouts. There were people bagging Tyson for the usage of timeouts and just how and when he used them. When they got to 2nd and 1 on that ultimately the game-winning drive, 2nd and 1, we caught our first timeout when obviously they were going to pick up another first down on the very next play, which basically guaranteed that they were kicking a field goal from whatever different distance. I think it ended up being 41 yards. They were basically at that point guaranteed a field goal, with zeros on the clock. So, game management, game scheming, all that withstanding offensively and defensively. I'm right there with you. I'm giving them a D. Um, if we were breaking it down, defense, offense, I would give defense a higher grade, obviously, than the offense. But just overall, as a staff and as a game plan, and just how it ended out, you lose a game, it's not going to be a great grade, unless you just lost on bad luck. But there was no bad luck in this game. It was bad execution and being prepared and making adjustments, which we didn't do. And we haven't even talked about, we're coming off a bye week. We had 12 days to prepare for this game. Supposed to have your best foot forward with 12 days to prepare. So a D is more than generous in my opinion. What about overall, just the whole game and swallowing the pill of a loss to Jacksonville State? What's your overall grade for this whole game?
Oh, gosh, this one. I mean, it is such disheartening to lose to, in my opinion, Jacksonville State. A team that came up from the FCS conference. I know we've had some bad luck with the FCS in the past. They've seemed like they've have our number, and now there's one in our conference, and we made their kicker probably feel like an all-star for him slipping during that kick and still getting it in just by the skin of his teeth. But I'm going to go with D. Yeah, D. This game, like I said earlier, I was so pissed off, so disheartening at just watching the offense. Defense put the team on their back. They did what they did. They did what they had to do to give us a chance to win. Offense just crapped the bed. There at the end of the first half with a minute to go, we get the ball back and we do a 3-and-out punt. We had to punt from our own end zone. Thankfully, they didn't score during that last drive. Yeah, I'm going to go with the D minus.
D is probably the correct answer. We lost a game. It was an ugly game. Doesn't make us feel good about going forward now. At 4-3 is our record now. Losses to Troy, Ohio State, and now Jacksonville State. Liberty on the horizon. Sam Houston, New Mexico State, FIU. Obviously we hope there's a couple more victories in there to get to bowl eligibility, but we're just some better execution offensively away from potentially beating Troy and now Jacksonville State, and having a whole different conversation to what this season is and what it looks like at this point, heading into Liberty. So I think D is very fair for the overall grade of this game. Now I guess my final words, in the big picture, the grand scheme of things, this loss to Jacksonville State, who's not even eligible to play for the conference championship due to transition rules, which I don't agree with. I think it's dumb. James Madison had to deal with it last year. Jacksonville State is this year. I don't agree with it. It's dumb. If you're good enough transitioning up that you are competing for a conference championship, you should be eligible. But um, quite frankly, this loss does not affect our goals for the season, which is to win a conference championship. Obviously, going to a bowl game and winning a bowl game is a yearly expectation, but it has raised and created and kind of created a lot more red flag questions about where is the Corvette offense, like you said earlier, on cinder blocks in the backyard. Where's the Top Gun offense that we were promised at the beginning of the season? We've seen flashes of the old WKU football offense. The Austin Reed leading the country in passing yards offense, the Bailey Zappi, moving the ball, scoring a lot of points offense. We've seen flashes of that. And obviously, we love that, and we hope to see it for a full 60 minutes, before the season's over. We want to be playing our best football in November, December. But in the meantime, we obviously need to be playing better now and winning now with better execution. So, we're going to wrap up this disappointing loss. Obviously, there's injuries and coaching and play calling, just question marks up and down this team and this roster and this performance. And really, it's going to have to be figured out pretty quickly as we move into this huge matchup with Liberty. It's a blackout game, night game, pregame concert. Jordan Davis should be a really fun and electric atmosphere on South Lawn again, like it was last year when Shaq was here. I'm sure it'll be a good student turnout. Hopefully, the community and just general and casual fans of the team can make it out. I know it's a Tuesday night, but hopefully we have a good crowd. Regardless of record, regardless of who we're playing, it looks like the weather, looking at the 10-day forecast as of right now, looks like the weather's going to turn and be a little bit warmer going into the beginning of next week. So, let's have still a solid show out. There's still a lot on the table. But we just at this point we don't know which WKU team is going to show up. Is it going to be the first half Hilltoppers, or is it going to be the second half Hilltoppers? Is it going to be just 30 minutes of one of those squads? I don't know. Or is it going to be a full game of actually good offense, or is it going to be just a dud of a game where we get blown out? When we have implications of potentially hosting a conference championship at home again, which we obviously haven't done since 2016. So, just a big game on the horizon. Right now, obviously, I don't think the majority of the fan base feels like odds are in our favor for how this season is going to play out. But you know, um, we got to play the games. We're not playing the games on paper. Liberty's got to show out. They've not looked unbeatable their last several games. They've squeaked to some victories and just not looked great, even falling behind MTSU and obviously just barely beating them this last week. So big game coming up. Jacksonville State is behind us. We've mourned it long enough. Wasn't a pretty defeat. And we just got to move on. It's time to look at Liberty, and they're new to the conference. How are we going to handle this game? It's a home game. Feels like it's been a while since we played a home game. The Middle Tennessee game now feels like it was a month ago. But great to be back at home. Going to have a night game. Hopefully, good weather, good concert, and hopefully a good turnout for attendance. So I'm ready for it. I'm here for it. I can't wait to be there, enjoying the game and just taking it in and hopefully watching a Hilltopper victory against this Liberty squad. So, Tyler, give us your final words, your final thoughts, and then take us the heck out of here. Get us ready for Liberty.
Well, you're right. This game is behind us. Time I woke up this morning still a WKU fan, even though I was disappointed and angry. It is officially Liberty Hate Week. I feel like this is one of the teams that we could definitely have a rivalry with, kind of like us and Marshall. Whenever we first came to Conference USA and embarrassed them in 2014, that was a fun game. But I feel like I still got hopes that our team, that this team can still host a conference championship. I know, or I hope that the offense can turn it around because the defense is working their asses off. But people show up to the game this next Tuesday on the 24th. Me and you's going to link up. I got the day off. I took off. We're going to link up. Have a few drinks, probably. What did you say down there, at Hilligan's? And then
Probably about 10 drinks.
But 10 drinks.
For sure.
All right. And then we going to head down there. I might get you into some country music, though. That's my goal, is to get you into country music.
Probably not, buddy.
I got you, man. No, this upcoming game, I feel like it's going to be a good one. And we will talk about that in a few days. But WKU fans, it's all right to let your anger out, let your disappointments out. My coworkers heard me enough last night to one guy was like, I was scared of what he was going to do, but it just means that much to me that to watch the offense completely implode. They're on national TV and hear Derek Mason commentated. I still don't like him, but show support to the other teams that are playing volleyball, tennis, and let's go Tops. Let's this game is behind us. Let's wash it away. As Pontius Pilate said, I wash my hands, they're clean. Let's move on and screw you, Liberty. Go Tops. And with that, I will say, Steve, Moth, who has it better than us?
Nobody, buddy. You already know.
Nobody.
Go Tops.
Go Tops.
Later, guys.
See ya.